Hello, thanks for joining us today on another Tech Talk Tuesday. My name is Tina Ham. I am the IT training coordinator at the College of Charleston, and today our Tech Talk is going to be about Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is a collaboration tool that you can use that combines resources like people, applications like Planner to do Microsoft applications, outside applications, and your files and permissions for those files. So it's a really nice way to get people that you're working with together to work on projects or initiatives or just a small group thing that you want to do departmental wise. So it could be as large as encompassing the whole college, or it could be as small as even a few of your coworkers. And as my guest today, I have with me Andrew Bergstrom, one of the webmasters at the college, and he is going to show us some things that are even new to me, some of the new things that you may not be aware of, and then some really cool stuff. Thank you for joining us while we talk about Microsoft Teams. Andrew, I appreciate your help.
Thank you so much.
One of the first things that I want to talk about is one of the abilities to chat within Microsoft Teams. So you're in a chat message, you're going back and forth, and you have the opportunity to make your video call or your audio call. Well, now there's a brand new indicator in that thread of icons at the top. It's the screen share option. So yeah, you can share a screen in Microsoft Teams just in your chats. I can't wait to try it and use it in my next conversation with a coworker. Something else new that I know is available in Teams is the breakout rooms and the together mode. So that is a really neat thing to do too. So for the breakout rooms, it's similar to what is set up for Zoom. There's a little icon, it's a little two squares, a larger square and then a smaller square. You just click that icon to be able to get to the menu to select your breakout rooms. You just choose how many you want, and then you can select whether or not your attendees are automatically assigned to a room or manually assigned to a room. And then at that point, nothing happens until you click that create room. So once you create the room, then you'll have the individuals and the rooms that they are assigned to, whether it's manually or automatic. And then you have another button to start that breakout or to create the room. And then you're there and your rooms are separated and you can collaborate, use whiteboards, have chat conversations, all of that information. But there's one thing that's really important to keep in mind, and that's the fact that information or whiteboards or files or anything like that that's going on in that breakout room is associated with that breakout room. When your meeting joins back up and your breakout rooms are dissolved, they can't share that particular information just yet. So keep that in mind. And then another option that's in the new Teams meetings is virtual backgrounds and together mode. So together mode is an option for a virtual view of a meeting as long as there's 5 people or more. And what's really cool about that is you have different scenes that you can choose from. And some of those are even number specific. Like if I have 5 people in a meeting, I can have like a desk or a table that's showing that information. And it's really a neat way to have people feel like they're more together in the same place, because I know having all these virtual meetings and things like that, it just keeps you more isolated sometimes. And the idea of being able to put everybody either in a same room, like an auditorium, or there's even an ocean scene that you can choose from. It just makes it more fun, a more fun way to have a meeting. But again, they are number specific, so some of them won't work with the choices that you have. So just be aware of that. It's number dependent on how many people are in your meeting.
That's really cool. I'm glad they've added a lot more backgrounds to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a feeling that there's going to be more to come. Andrew, what other cool tricks do you have to share with us?
Well, thanks for having me today. We're going to show you a few different things that are on what we call the left rail inside Teams. So let me jump over to my Teams application here. And when I talk about the left rail, that's the collection of icons, which are shortcuts to different applications or functions in Teams on the left-hand side. And we're going to talk about some changes that have happened to items in the left rail. I'm going to start with one called Tasks by Planner and To Do. Previously, you may have used Planner, which is a very simple project management tool for grouping tasks together and putting them into different containers or buckets. That's been expanded now to include the items from both Planner as well as To Do, which is more of a place for making lists of things that you want to do that might not be specifically tied to a task or a project, but are just a group of tasks that you want to do. And so Tasks by Planner To Do is over on the left-hand side. If you don't find it, we'll show you how to add apps in a little bit, and you can add that on there. Or it might be hidden down here kind of under the menu, the ellipsis that has all the extra items. But in here, you'll see I've got my tasks to do. I've got important tasks, things that are planned. But you'll also see as I go further down, I have this main list and secondary list, which I made in Microsoft To Do. And then below that, I have my planner items, and I could open those up and see all my tasks and planner items in one place. And what's nice is it's synchronized between the two. So if a change is made over in Microsoft To Do, or even on my mobile device, if I check an item off and say that's been done, it reflects it here in Teams, or vice versa. Some other changes that you'll notice in the left-hand navigation is how Yammer now looks. And recently, Yammer started to move over to terminology called communities instead of Yammer groups so much, because they really are just that, communities around a common topic or a common thread that people have, and they want to have discussions in Yammer. They've now brought that functionality into Teams with Yammer communities. On the left-hand side, when I go into my Yammer communities, you'll have it log in automatically and go into your communities that you're involved with. And so I'm seeing here my home feed, but I also see on the left-hand side my favorites and other communities that I might be involved in. So I see a lot of times people use the classifieds, for example. So you can really quickly browse those in here, and you can scroll down. And again, anything you do here automatically is reflected in Yammer and vice versa. And so these two items are synchronized, but it's just a convenient way to get from your Teams platform and jump really quickly over to Yammer and take care of something over there, or post an item that you want to post over there, and then jump right back into Teams.
One thing too that I noticed, Andrew, with that, when you're in your communities, when you use that link, if you create a post and don't pick a community, it'll kind of force you to do that.
Gotcha.
If you,
Okay.
so that's kind of cool.
I like
All
that.
right. So I do like the ability to access communities through Teams. I use that link quite often. Let's navigate some more on that. You called it the nav bar. Is that what you called it?
I've heard it called the navigation bar and also referred to as the left rail.
Okay. So on the left rail or the nav bar, what is really neat is you can actually move or unpin some of those applications. So let's say that I use Yammer communities a lot. So I want to move that application up on the list so it's easier for me to locate when I go back and forth. So what you would do is you would just click on that application, whichever one it wants to be, and then you just drag it where you want it to go on that nav bar or that rail. So it works really nice. Your space on the rail is limited to the size of your screen. If you're using a 13-inch laptop screen, you're going to be limited by how many you can use. So if you don't see it, go ahead and click on that ... that ellipsis, and that'll give you how to access those additional applications. And then you can also pin and unpin either from this view if you want to pin something that you don't have yet, or unpin it if it's already there. So that's really nice. If it's already on the rail, you can actually just right click and then have the option to pin or unpin. So that's kind of nice. It's a way to personalize it to where it best works for you.
I like that. It allows me to kind of pin my favorites to it so I can keep them towards the top. And then if I need to add other ones, I can always come down here and grab another one and, right click and pin that one as well. If you find an app you don't want, you can always uninstall it if it's one you installed. So I like that. It's a good feature for keeping those organized.
So what are some of the apps that you might want to consider adding?
So when you look in the ellipsis there, you'll notice that there is a find an app option. And what's really great is that a number of companies make apps that are specific for Microsoft Teams. And a lot of times these are integrations with their product. And a common one that's come up is Zoom. So people will say, well, I'm in a Zoom meeting or I'm in a Teams meeting. And what's nice is you can actually keep track of both inside of Teams. So on my left rail, you'll notice I have here Zoom. And I went into my ellipsis and I added the Zoom by finding the app. And what that is an integration with my Zoom account. And so it says, welcome to Zoom for Teams. And up top here, I can look at my meetings. And this allows me to see, oh, I got to sign in. And it lets me in. So when you are logged into your Zoom, it'll keep me logged in. It's going to show me here that these are meetings I have coming up. I have the ability to start the Zoom meeting directly from here. I can also schedule a meeting and I can share my screen in Zoom as well. And on the right, I can join that meeting. So when that meeting comes up later today at 2 o'clock, I can join that meeting from here in Teams if I wanted to, or I can do it through the link that I received in my email from Zoom as well. So that's a neat one. I like is the integration of Zoom with Microsoft Teams.
Absolutely. I'm going to be adding that as soon as we get done.
That's a pretty handy one to have. I like that. A couple other ones that are neat to look at, and these are newer apps that have been added onto the left-hand side. One is called Approvals, and I'm going to show you that one here. The Approvals. If you hear the word Approvals and you start to think workflow, you're kind of on the right track. What Approvals are is the ability to track approvals in a workflow, and usually they're done either through Teams or they might be done in a more advanced way through something called Power Automate. And approval then shows here, and you have the ability when you receive one to then acknowledge it and to either approve it or decline it, for example, based on the choices that are given to you in that workflow that you have. So a real simple one, this was a kind of funny one we were just playing with and using was, I can do it right here. I could just do a new approval request. And this could be something as simple as, where's lunch, where are we going to go for lunch? Something like that. And this might not be a real complicated one. And I could say additional details, and I can do custom responses, and I could fill in how people could, basically, are we going to go to Moe's or are we going to go to Chipotle? What are we going to do? And I could then send that out, and the individuals could then respond to me. And you have the ability to require a response from all approvers if you want, if that's something that you need. So you want to make sure it's kind of unanimous that we decide where we're going. And it would build that out. And then what happens is that gets sent. And so I'll look at my sent ones here. And we were playing around with this a little bit, Tina and I. And you'll see here, I said chicken or fish. And the status was a response there. And when I click in there, I can actually track what's happened with this approval. And if you're building more complex workflows, you have the ability to track more detail in there, particularly if a workflow has approvals going back and forth. So if it's declined, it comes back. It can come back to you with a change, and so on. So this is a really new feature that they've added into Teams, and it's going to grow, and they'll be adding more functionality to it, but just a really neat one. So approvals. So for real simple stuff, like a simple approval request from within Teams, or if you want something more complicated and you're using something like Power Automate, you could also use that tool as well.
That's really cool. I can see where that could come in handy if you were creating like a document for communication or something that would go out, campus wide or something, and you want to make sure you get the input or the okay to go ahead and go like it is, or ask for other additions. So I can see where that would be really handy.
Yeah, I think a common use case might be leave requests. If we build that out and someone wants to say, hey, I want to be off on Friday, and that needs to go to somebody to be approved, they could certainly do that and build that kind of functionality into the approvals. So just a neat tool, and I think it has a lot of potential going forward.
So Teams is really neat, but I know that a lot of people like to use Google and have information about that. Is there a way that Zoom and Google can be a little bit more friendly with each other?
So Teams and Google, definitely. So under the ellipsis here, you'll see that there's also an icon for files, and you may have that further up in your rail, but files are the files that I have within Teams. So I can see in here things I've worked with recently, files, Microsoft Teams files that have been shared with me that I've shared. I have downloads that I've downloaded from Teams. I have the ability automatically to have my OneDrive show up because everyone at the College of Charleston has a OneDrive, and you have a terabyte of storage in there. So it's a really big space, and you have all your different things in there. But you can also have other cloud storage here. And I know a number of people also use their Google Drive. And so when I go to Google Drive, you can sign into that. Now I'm already signed into mine, but it allows me to go to my Google Drive as well from within Teams so that I can have content pulled from Google Drive and brought into a team and shared. So you have the ability to work with that. I can also upload here. If I click sign out, it would then sign me out of my Google Drive. But I have that ability to use both my OneDrive and Google Drive inside of Teams. That's a really neat integration that a lot of people aren't aware of. And I'm glad it's there because we have both solutions here at the college.
That's really, and it's not hard to add your Google Drive cloud storage to your team. Just follow the prompts.
Just down here, you have add cloud storage. And when it comes up, it will bring up the options that are available. I'm not seeing my Google because it's already in my cloud storage option there.
I like that a lot.
So you have other solutions as well. But as a reminder, I would say that the OneDrive and Google Drive are the official drive storage for the College of Charleston.
So one other thing that I found that was very helpful, which is you could do it before, but it was a little bit cumbersome, is when you get an email with an attachment, you can actually just click on the attachment within that email and just drag it over to your Teams. And then it'll upload into that channel that you have open or that team that you have open as a file in the storage. So that was really cool. I mean, you can do it within chat as well, but from Outlook, you can just click the attachment and drag it over into a team. So that's really handy. So I don't know if people realize that they can do that as well.
In a new conversation, that would be, or it just automatically would post it into the team. You can drag it into the team itself.
It can go into the team itself, into the files tab, or if you're in a channel and you drag it to that channel, it would go into that channel's files.
Oh, super cool. That's great. I like that.
Yeah, that's neat. All right. So now that we're talking a little bit about Outlook, let's talk about the calendars that are available within Teams and in the channels.
Sure. So everybody has an Outlook calendar. And that's kind of, basically in Outlook, you go and click on the calendar icon, and that's your personal calendar. You also have the ability inside your Outlook calendar to add additional ones. If you wanted an additional personal calendar or one specific for birthdays, you can go and create those in Outlook. A request that we've heard in the past is, can I get calendars inside of Teams? Specifically, is there the ability inside of a channel, which is sort of a sub part of my team, to have their own calendar for that channel? And the answer is yes. That's a new feature that's been added. So as opposed to using the left rail over here where we add apps, I'm going to go into one of my channels here, and this is the Cascade Content Management System channel, and I'm on the general channel, and I'm going to go up here to the top. And this is another way to add, instead of an app, I'm adding a tab. So I'll click on add a tab, and you can do this for any of the channels that you have access to. And you'll see all kinds of different tab options that show up. And inside there is a new one called Channel Calendar. And when I choose that, it's going to ask me to add the channel calendar on. So I have that here. And it'll ask for a name for that tab. And so I'll just call it Channel Calendar for right now. It's important to note when you are adding new tabs in Teams, if you don't want to tell everyone in the channel about it, don't post to the channel about this tab. So I'm doing this as an example, so I don't really want to tell all of our Cascade users that I'm adding a channel calendar. So I'll throw that on there. And it is literally what you think it would be. It is a calendar within that channel. It can be used for tracking events and activities that you want specific to that channel.
So from there, you can actually add a meeting to that channel, and then people could go in and click the channel and click the meeting to be able to join it, right?
Yes, and it would show up in here. And if you do that add new event here, so for example, if I said add new event, this should look somewhat familiar. This is the very much very similar to the way we add into Outlook. But you'll notice that down here, it already has filled in this value for the channel and where it's going to be. Now, it's important to note that this will invite, okay, the attendees here, and may also notify other members of the team that it exists, that it's posted inside there, because they want to know when there's changes to the calendar as well. But so, for example, if I were to have a meeting here and I added you as a required meeting attendee, Tina, you would get an invite, and when you accept that invite, it would both show on your personal Outlook calendar because it was an Outlook event, but it also shows on the channel calendar that we're going to have that meeting too. So you can get to it from both links.
That's fantastic. I like that. I really like how Outlook and Teams share that, sync that calendar up. One thing to note though, when you're adding tabs to a channel or a team, depending on how the team was set up, you may not have the permissions to add tabs to a channel. So that would depend on how the owner set up the team. So if you don't see it, just talk with the owner of the team and you can be able to get that access or have them add a tab as well. So if you don't see that plus sign, it's a permission thing. Doggone it.
Yeah. And it, just like you have the ability to add all these apps on the left-hand side here, there's a lot of options for adding tabs when you get into there. Probably more than we can talk about today, but if you want to go and explore it, you're welcome to go and look and see in here, not just channel calendar, but you have the ability to add your Yammer communities can be added as a tab to a channel if you wanted. You can add websites and so on. There's a whole bunch inside of here that allows you to expand your teams from just a chat client or a collaboration platform into almost a portal in many ways to a lot of the applications that you use within Office 365.
Okay. And then something else to keep in mind too, the tabs on the team are team related, and the applications on your navigation rail are personal related,
Correct.
right? That could also function within the team. But I mean, if you add an application on your navigation rail, someone else is not going to see that application until they add it to theirs, right?
Yep. What's here on the left-hand side, these are my apps that I use. And then when I'm inside of a team, inside of a channel, the tabs that I add are specific to that team and channel. And so, yes, so this would be for the benefit of the group of the channel, whereas what's on the left navigation would be for my benefit as the individual user.
So I can definitely see why Microsoft Teams is one of the fastest growing applications that they have. So, and it's definitely building every day. I know they're making changes and adding new features and all of that. Thank you for joining us in this episode for Tech Talk Tuesday while we discovered more uses in Microsoft Teams for collaboration and integration and how to make our jobs so much easier communicating with others. Andrew, I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. Make sure you keep watching us on social media. For YouTube, it's College of Charleston Information Technology. Facebook and Twitter is CofC IT. And Instagram is CofC_IT. Again, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Tech Talk Tuesday. Bye.